friends, Maestro here, bringing you a special live for us episode, part 2 of Maestro on the Mic / Fit Biz You. I got my biz bestie, my life bestie here with me again, and we are piggybacking on finishing up our discussion from Monday. Today we're talking about the top 2 things, the top 2 reasons that we believe folks don't experience the success that they're looking for, whatever that may be, in the online space. But first, before we get into that, kicking it over to you, JB. Give us the things. Tell me the things.
2 announcements, but first, I just really need to say this. I love how you do this show because your energy is great. Here's look, we're just going to get into the tips and tools real quick. If you have a podcast, you are not just speaking, you are presenting. You have to be presenting, and Maestro always does because all of her energy comes through her voice, and that's why you guys love listening to the episode because you can feel the energy behind it. So anyway, just shout out to you, and y'all, that's a fucking skill, by the way. Anyone can sit and drone on in a monotone fashion. So anyway, props to you, love it. More importantly, well, equally as important. Applications are now open for Legacy, and hopefully you guys know what Legacy is, but Legacy is our intermediate plus coaching program that the Maestro and I run every year. This is going to be our 5th round. Applications are open until this coming Friday, October 18th. Only. So the application info, all of the stuff that you want to know about the program is in the show notes. Take a look at everything, take your time reading through it. But it is for what we consider to be intermediate plus business owners. If you do not know what that is and you're wondering if you fall into that category, go back and listen to Monday's episode this week, part 1 of this series that kind of goes through in detail exactly not only who we consider to be an intermediate plus business owner, logistically as well as sort of like from a mindset perspective, but also the people who do the best in Legacy. It is application only because we want to make sure that if you guys are in the program that you're definitely going to get results. And oftentimes if we don't feel like we can get someone results, we will not accept them, and we'll probably give them some homework or tell them something else that we would like for them to do, not leave you hanging. And it's not like a competition. It's not like a popularity contest. It's literally just because we want to make sure that you guys have that you have success. And so we want it to be a hell yes from us, and we want you to be a hell yes for the program as well. So make sure you read through all of that in the show notes as well. But if you are thinking about it, if you have questions specifically about your own situation, your own business, what you got going on, feel free to shoot us a DM, the Movement Maestro or Jill Fit on Instagram, because neither one of us will respond to an email. So there's that.
No, don't send an email. It's not going to be back till 2025. We'll send that to you. So, I don't know if she'll set it. I don't think she did. This is the last time that you can apply until 2025. Maybe she said it, but I'm going to reiterate that because that's super important for folks that are like, when's the next time? I'll just wait. Although we do prefer, obviously, folks that are just like action as the default. For those wondering, or those just wanting to, look at their schedule, the next time that Legacy will open is all the way in October of 2025. Okay. Hopping into today's episode. So the reason that we wanted to do this episode was just to give you a little bit of a taste test, if you will, a try before you buy kind of thing, a test before you invest, if you will. And if you've followed us for any amount of time, then I think you know what you're getting. But Jill and I also just love to shoot the shit and talk about business. So sometimes we're like, let's put a mic and record it and share it with the world. So today what we wanted to cover because of Legacy and what we look to help people with Legacy is what we believe to be the top 2 things or top 2 reasons that people don't experience the success that they are looking for or hoping for. And now, of course, success is subjective, whether you're like, hey, I want to make a lot of money with this, or I want to help a lot of people with this, or whatever that looks like. We do think that we can kind of boil down, based on all the people we've worked with, what those top 2 reasons are. I'm going to take the first part and then I'll kick it over to Jill. But I would say the number one thing for me is going to be on the messaging and trust building side of things. Folks are not experiencing the success that they want because honestly, when you're going to sell, you need people to sell it to. And if you don't have anybody there, you have the wrong people there. It doesn't really matter how good the thing is. And so this tends to be really where my zone of genius lies in helping people build that trust and attract that audience. So from an action items perspective, because Jill and I are always all about action, I kind of want to break this up into 2 parts. The first part is very simple. familiarity breeds trust. Jill talks about it all the time, talk about this all the time. And what that looks like is consistently showing up where your people are. My zone of genius is going to be social media, specifically Instagram. Jill and I both tend towards that. Though within legacy, we can and we'll talk about advertising and going the paid route. But from an organic perspective, showing up where people are and showing up consistently. If you show up once every never, people don't know what to expect. When things are erratic, it's actually quite off putting for people. You know how we know? Think about spiders. People don't like spiders because they're erratic as fuck. And you're like, what's it going to do? Is it going to jump on me? Is it going to touch me? It moves kind of weird and jerky. We don't like that. When we know what to expect, right? When our nervous system's like, I can predict this, are at ease. We have trust there. So that's going to be the first thing. And from an action items perspective, that simply looks like showing up consistently. If you listen to Monday's episode, we spoke about this in terms of an intermediate business owner has broken through that, any kind of mindset hangups or anything like that. And they're able to show up. They know that this is just like brushing their teeth. I show up, I share with my people, I share content, I connect with my people. So that's going to be the first part of this in terms of building trust, attracting the right audience. The second part of this is what the components of building trust are, which, in my opinion, are three parts: benevolence, integrity, and competency. This first part, benevolence, right? This is that people truly believe that you have their best interests at heart. And if we were to break this down and make it kind of tangible, to me, that is, you are willing to do and you enjoy doing the things that don't scale. Right, especially when you're earlier on in your business. We see as things get like really big and really growing, sometimes we have an opportunity to go back to this. But if you're in the intermediate phase, and definitely from the beginning phase, you should be doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on this part. Remembering people's names, using people's names, being in the DMs, responding to emails. I don't like them anymore, but I used to respond to a ton of them, right? Having these conversations with people, showing people that at the end of the day, you have their best interest at heart. You're not just trying to pull a fast one on them, right? You're delivering way more in value than anything else. Second part of that, right? We said it's benevolence, integrity, and competency. Second part there is going to be that integrity component of this. And that's simply adhering to your values. This, again, in my opinion, is going to be leaning towards that intermediate plus business owner because it means they have the courage to show up and lead with their values. Some folks in the beginning, I get it. You're just like, I'm kind of scared. The squeaky wheel gets greased, but sometimes the nail that sticks up gets hammered. And you're like, I'm a little bit nervous to say these things that maybe are different. That intermediate plus person is like, no, I have something to say, and I have literally no other way to show up than authentically. All right, so when we show up like that, we're going to attract that same type of person. We talk about it all the time. We attract what we are, not what we want. All right, so having the courage to show up as yourself, to state your values, to state your beliefs, and also to have worked through things to know your beliefs. Jill spoke about this on Monday's episode, that having an online business is an exercise in personal development and personal growth. And as you work through the problems and work through the different levels of things, your values, they may change, but I think for most people, they really emerge. And you're just like, yeah, I can draw a line in the sand there. All right, so that integrity piece is going to be having the courage to adhere to your values, to show up with those values, and you will attract other people with those same values. The
You know what's
last
really
one,
interesting about that? Before you
tell
go
me,
into the
Jill.
last one, I just want to
Yeah,
say that what you mentioned about it being hard to show up with your values at the beginning is why it's a massive opportunity to do that. Because what you're
absolutely.
saying is, if you have the courage to do that as early as possible in your business, it may mean losing business. It
Yep.
may mean, unfollows, or it may mean unsubscribes. But you know what it also does is it builds trust way fucking faster. So, for
So much
example, let's
faster.
just say you're like, okay, one of my core values is, I want honesty is one of my core values, and someone messages you and you're a new business owner and you really need the money. You're like, you know what? I would really love to sell this person because I really need the money. I need the cash. And they say, hey, here's my situation. Do you think this would be a good fit for me? And you say, honestly, I don't think it's a good fit. I think you should save your money. I think you should go somewhere else. I think here's another person I think is doing better work for you. You're going to lose that money in the moment, But you know what that person's going to do? They're going to leave and be like, holy shit, I can't believe that you just
This every
were
time.
so honest. And they're probably going to want to
Every
sign up with
time.
you anyway
Yep.
because of that. So I think the irony is so few people are willing to do that at the beginning because they tend to be more in scarcity. So then we think, oh, what's a luxury only people who are intermediate or advanced business owners can do? They can turn away business. They don't understand how hard it is for me. But the ironic thing is actually the earlier you start operating according to your values, the faster you're actually going to make money.
Such a fucking good point. Such a good point. I love that Jill gave a specific example there, which I'll challenge you folks to do. And think about where you're at right now and like what your values are, right? Not the things you value, because it's different, right? And Laura Jean talks about this as values are verbs, right? And you may need to sit there for a bit and kind of identify these things and what that actually looks like in practice. Because sometimes what happens is it's kind of like, ideally it looks like this, and this I think this is my value because it's supposed to be, or it would be nice to be. But what actually are your values, and what does that look like in practice? Jill spoke about this in terms of honesty, and maybe for you it is autonomy, or maybe a better word for some people is agency, right? If that's one of your values, are you giving that to your clients and customers, right? In terms of them being able to
Letting them
buy when they
decide.
want to buy. Right? What does it actually look like in practice? And I really love that Jill highlighted that it's not just a, something with luck, or like, oh, you're so lucky to be able to work with who you want. You dictate this, and it's not something that's only reserved for intermediate and advanced business owners. But I will say that the earlier you can do that, it then, because this is the skill set of someone who is intermediate. So you can have somebody, right? We can have two kinds of people here that may have what looks like, from a numbers perspective, a very advanced business, but they're not advanced in terms of, we'll call it the mindset side of this, or this building trust side of things. They may be still very beginner with like, I built this thing that I fucking hate. We don't want that. This is why we call this, this program legacy, right? Or you may have the other side of things where people are super advanced with this values side of things, with this integrity piece and building trust, and that business will do very well. They may just be getting started. They may not have gotten so much traction yet with the actual monetizing side of things, but that business has all of the potential to do super, super
It
well
also
and go for a
increases
long time.
demand. Like it also increases
Oh yeah.
demand too, because when you say like, you know what, when you are like, you know what, I think there's someone better for you, not only does it increase trust, but they're like, oh, I want to work with someone who is able to turn away business. Like I want to be like that as well. So it's going to give off the perception that you are in demand because you don't need the sale. Would you
Yes,
like the sale? Sure. But you don't need it,
absolutely.
especially if it's not going to be a fit. Hell no. I
This,
mean, that is one of the
this.
things that as you have more experience, because you maybe have let people in that maybe were not a good fit, using the same
Mm-hmm.
example, and you've noticed that it ends up, you know, being catastrophic and you don't want that. So, but
It's
I
a
would
great
say the
word.
earlier you can do this, and again, it's not a luxury reserved for someone who has a ton of money. It's like, no, you can
No,
start this right now and probably make money way faster.
this, this. I love that Jill continues to bring in the money side of things. Like, money's good. Money is options. Money is not some bad thing. And if you think it's bad, you're never going to make it. And we need money to participate in this society that we are all a part of. Right. So even though I put number one as a benevolence piece, they both coexist. You can have a successful business. You can ask for money. You can ask for the sale, and still be an incredibly benevolent person, and have someone else's best interest at heart, which Jill did a perfect example of, in terms of turning that person away and being like, hey, you'd be a better fit for this person, which, to toot our own horn is what we will do if you apply for legacy and we're like, this isn't it. You're not going to get the results that you want from this, or we're not the best to help you out with this. We know a lot of people. We have a lot of other offers, and we will refer you accordingly.
We've also even said, I don't think you even need this. Like, you're great. Just keep doing what
Mm-hmm.
you're doing. like,
Totally.
you don't even have to spend this money and you don't have to spend any money. Just keep going.
Keep doing this. Yes. Yes. The third part, so we got three parts of this building trust, right, so that we can attract this idea. I love that word catastrophic, because that's like, we have people, and we both coach people like this, where they're just like, you shouldn't hate your clients, folks. Like, me coming from being an in-person physical therapist, I understand looking at your schedule and being like, oh my God, Susan's on the schedule again. And there's nothing you could do because like you don't own the practice. And this is just what you do. And you show up and you will give your all to that person, but it will also like take your whole soul away. This is why you start your own business, because then you get to choose who you work with. Same for the online component of it. Like you get to really niche down and be like, when I say niche down, yes, it's the problem you solve, but it's also who you're working with, when you're working with them, how you're working with them. You get to choose all of that and dictate all of that. I'm not here to say there's like an endless sea of people that are going to want that exact same thing, but you do have that opportunity to do that. Right. And so when you're building this business, one of the things that's going to allow it to be a legacy and continue on forever is that you enjoy it. You're excited about it. Right? It's not here to entertain you, but you are excited about the people that you get to help and the work that you get to do. And the only way that happens is if you're showing up and attracting that person. If you have a facade or you're saying like, I think I'm supposed to show up this way, or like, this is what people want to hear, you will build a business. If you do build a business, manage to build a business that will make you miserable. So we don't want that. So we got those 3 parts of trust was benevolence, integrity, and then the last one, which is quite straightforward, competency, right? Can you get results? In Monday's episode, again, if you haven't checked that out, definitely check it out because it was fun. In Monday's episode, we talked about this in terms of the folks who get the best results in legacy. Those are people that are really fucking good at getting results for their people. They have this expertise and they know, like, yes, I can get the results. They have the courage to say that. And it's not like, that they're like, we never fake it till we make it. It's the complete opposite of that, right? They're like, no, I have tried and true method. I've worked with these people. I have these results here. From a tactical perspective, folks, one of the things that we see in terms of looking to attract folks and demonstrate this competency is that it's not just a personal story. Like, I did this, anyone can do that. That's a lie, so don't lean on that, right? If that's where you're at, though, in business, and it's just started, all right, then this is what we're going to say. We're going to be honest about that. And then when you get that first client, you are going to make sure that if you do nothing else, you get them the best fucking results ever. And then you build from there. Folks tend to kind of, and this is that benevolence part, they tend to like overlook the people that are right in front of them. And they're like, but what about everybody else? And it's like, no, what about the people right here? Can you get incredible results for them? As it relates to the action item here, specific action item, one of the things that I see in the social media space, because again, that's top of funnel, it's where the eyes are going to be looking to build that trust, attract the people, is that folks are not sharing that competency, meaning they're not getting tactical with their content. I understand that if you've been in this for a while, whatever it is that you're doing, there's a tendency to lean towards like the psychological side of things and the mindset side of stuff and talk about that. Maybe you're interested in that. That's fine. But people need to know that you can get them a win, right? Businesses are built on solutions to problems. Are you demonstrating and sharing the solutions to those problems? Are you this person? And we don't have these folks coming into legacy, but I know they exist where they're just like scared to share anything because they're like, someone's going to take it. If that's where we're at with things, then like you have work to be done with things. But in terms of attracting this audience that you can then offer your paid solutions to, because that's what selling is. It's those 3 parts, right? Benevolence, integrity, competency. Hold up the mirror, go look in the mirror and say, where am I at with these things? Right? And then we pair that with the familiarity. Am I doing these things consistently? Anything
what do
you'd
you
add
think
in
is
there,
the
Jill?
biggest? Yeah, I was going to say, what do you feel like is the biggest? I mean, I have my thing that what's the biggest impediment to people just doing those 3 things? What do you think? Like when you just said, hey, do an intake on like, where are you at with these things?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the biggest roadblock for people to just, because these, I mean, like when you say them out loud, I'm like, yeah, these
Simple.
these make
Yeah.
sense. Like they're simple. It's not like rocket science. It's not like,
Mm-hmm.
but then we're going to bring out the secret funnel. Like it's literally just like be a human. I mean, I think there's definitely,
I think there's a few things there.
Yeah. So like what keeps people from doing these things?
Yeah. I'm writing it down so I don't go off the topic here. Boom. Fear. We know that fear is going to be in there. Okay. I'm going to go with kind of 2 parts here. Number 1, it is from the I know. I'm going to do 3 here. Okay. So the first thing here with the introspective side of like what's maybe stopping people from realizing this is a lack of self-awareness. One of the things that's huge in terms of people that succeed and do well in this is that they have massive self-awareness. And this is a skill. It's a thing that you can develop over time, right? You have to have the willingness to like look in the mirror and be like, okay, here's what I see, and can get objective with things. But there is a lack of self-awareness. Jill said this in the first episode, and we've talked about it a little bit earlier in terms of the personal development that comes along with running a business, and the folks
because
who
it can't
return to the
be
best.
always about other people. Like, it can't be like
that.
It's because
Someone else's
people
fault.
just want free stuff.
That.
Like when I see
That.
people being like, my entire audience, all they want is free. I'm like, no, people
No.
like buying things. It's
They
not because
do.
you have the cheapest people on earth. It's because something else is happening. Yeah.
Right. So we have that first part of, I think there's a lack of self-awareness and then a lack or an unwillingness to take personal responsibility. If you can default to radical responsibility, you will succeed, because in every situation, then you're like, what can I do differently? I don't like this outcome. I don't like what's happening. What can I do? What was my role in this? What can I change? So I think that'd be the first thing. I think the second thing, and we talked about this on the last episode, is expectation mismanagement. And so one of my favorite quotes from my girl Meredith Root is, have expectations of effort, not outcome. People tend to think like, oh, I did this, I deserve this. I did this, I deserve this. Why? If we go in with the expectation, I'm going to do this, I'm going to show up this way, I'm going to do this, amazing. And then if we are going to be looking at outcome, then please, for the love, we talked about this last episode, and we'll talk about it basically every day in Legacy. This is a game of numbers. This is math, right? When it comes to the outcome financially, when it comes to the outcome selling wise, there is predictability here. And when folks think that they are beyond the numbers, because maybe there's a lack of self-awareness, that's when they're like, I didn't get what I want. I deserve this other thing. And so they stop doing this stuff. Right? Because there's an expectation mismanagement. I think you have a phrase for that, Jill. Why do I feel like you have like a
expectation mismanagement?
Yeah, I feel like there's like the gap, something about the gap or the.
Oh, no. Yeah. For me, it's what I call the attention differential. And really, it's a little bit different, but it's basically like, this thing is your baby. Like, this is your business, this is your baby. You spend weeks, months, years building, and your courses and your coaching and working on your craft and your messaging and landing pages and sales pages and all of these labors of love that you have to do in order to then sell. And so for us, especially when you're in launch, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a second, when you are in a promotion or in a card open phase, you're in a launch, it's all you can think about because it's everything to you. It's all of the effort and time and emotional, bandwidth and all that kind of stuff. And then the average person is just fucking scrolling. The average person is barely even knows what's going on. Motherfuckers do not read anything. Shantae loves when I start that. People don't read anything, and it's fine. Look, it is what it is. But the problem is that our attention is way up here, and the attention of the people who are going to buy is probably way down here. It doesn't mean they don't like you. It doesn't mean they don't want to buy from you. It doesn't mean they won't buy from you. It just means it's not a priority for them unless we can, we'll talk about this when we get into Legacy. We talk about, front loading launches. We talk about, like building anticipation. We do all that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're really good, you will have people who are paying more attention than not. But this is a huge letdown. This produces a huge letdown for some people because for them, they're like, cart's open. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden it's like, where are the sales? And they're like refreshing their Stripe account, right? And the problem is, it doesn't mean people don't want to buy it. It doesn't mean people won't buy it. It just means that they have a million other things they're doing that day. And for you, all you can think about is this. And so it's that gap, that sort of expectation gap, that produces a lot of disappointment and discouragement. When in actuality, I just want to normalize it. Like in Legacy, we're just like, that's normal.
That's it.
People don't read shit. Assume no one's reading anything. Assume people aren't seeing stuff. Because if you just have those assumptions, then you go in and then you can be grateful. You're like, wow, I made all these sales on day one. That's awesome. Great. We're doing something awesome with the messaging. If we don't have that, then we're going to have more sales towards the end of the launch, and you're going to be white knuckling it the whole time, and you're going to be nervous that no one's going to buy, and then 60% of your sales will happen in the last 16 hours, and like we've seen it a million times. Mm-hmm. But you have to be ready for it. It's this sort of it can be an emotional roller coaster. And so this is the attention differential, and it can really mess you up if you don't know that, if you're not ready for it.
Big time. And then people stop. I think,
and then they're like, no one wants, and they stop mid-launch.
Knew it.
They stop, not literally. Our people, but people stop mid-launch because they go, well, if they really want it, they would have bought it by now. That's not how human psychology works. That's not how consumer behavior works. People wait to the last second. When was the last time you bought something? You probably waited till the last day too.
I already know.
I assume people act like I act. Shantae do
I
that.
am the first day. I'm like, can I get it right now? But I know majority of folks out there being last minute Lucy. I don't judge you. It gives me a little anxiety, but I don't judge you for it. But then I go in anticipating that, and then we sell the whole time because of that. All right. We will help you in legacy. I'm going to plug it. We will help you in legacy to work through this, move through this, hold you accountable through this, encourage you, aka demand that you keep selling during this whole thing so that we get the data, we get information, and then we can iterate and improve on things the next time.
Well, and also it does sort of free you up to just do the plan, just follow the
That's it.
plan. Like my team always laughs at me. I
That's
don't even
literally
look at
it.
sales the first day of card open. Like I don't even look at sales. They're like, you're wild, because how's
What
it
do you
going to
do?
change something?
What are you
It's not
gonna
going
do?
to change anything. I'm still going to do all the things. I'm still gonna go through my entire launch plan. Still going to execute. Still going to take action on everything, and then the
Yes,
launch isn't over till it's over.
it's very simple. I'm excited to talk about this. I think the last thing before I switched over to Jill, the last reason people don't do this is fear of being seen. And this is something I
Mm.
come across a ton, right? People want to be seen, but they're incredibly scared of it because we know that the deepest fear as humans is being an outcast, right? That's why embarrassment is the worst feeling because you're just like, I have lost my people. I am alone. Your nervous system, we as humans, we do not want that because we know we cannot survive that way. And so it is so deeply ingrained in us to be accepted that sometimes we sacrifice, many times people sacrifice authenticity for quote unquote fitting in. And that's why they don't show up. The flip side, or I guess the antidote to this, is doing it scared. I think it's probably two parts. It's doing it scared. We can titrate it, right? Where you do a little bit at a time. And so you're not just like, I'm just going to go do everything. And then you're like, I have a hangover now. But it's doing it scared. And it is diversifying. Jill and I were just talking about this. It's diversifying. Jill and I were talking about diversifying your joy portfolio, but I would say it's something along the lines of kind of diversifying your values and needs portfolio, right? This is not Maslow's hierarchy of needs because that's bullshit. But if we actually think about what humans and people need, um, getting that not just from one place. And if you're just trying to get it from your business or social media, when you don't get it, when you hear crickets, you're fucked. You're gonna stop. You're like, this is too scary. It's too hard. I know for me, I get a ton of value and self worth out of movement, out of playing volleyball, like out of going for a run, out of being able to lift things. I don't lift nearly as heavy as Jill. I would literally just crumble. But I do get a ton of value out of that. And I'm able to diversify and draw on that and pull confidence from that that allows me to then show up and have the courage to show up in this, right? And be willing to have some people not agree with it. Cause like, all right, I have this thing. I have this thing over here. I have this thing over there. With that action and you showing up at some point, you do start to, if you have the courage to show up with this, your values and such, you do attract other people. And then you're like, oh, I am not alone, right? And it's not about fitting in, it's about belonging. And you've created that. So I think those are the reasons why people don't do those things. They're multifaceted, they are deep, but at the end of the day, the action items for building trust and attracting that audience are simple.
That's a good question though, is like, what is your relationship to attention? What's your relationship to visibility? Because you cannot build a massively successful business and also not want attention.
Yes,
And so,
it's
and
huge.
it's a massive fear. And I think, and I hate to use this phrase because I feel like it's a little bit like overused, but this, I think a lot of people say this and it's not really that, but they say, I'm scared of success. And it's not really that you're scared of success. It's just scared of the visibility and the accountability that
Mhm.
can come with success, with a lot of success. Because, something happens in the news and you got a million followers. Guess what? People are like, use your platform
Mhm.
for this thing, right? So you have more people who need stuff from you, want stuff from you. And so that is hard to manage. So you're like, well, I'll just stay down here. I'll stay under the radar.
Totally.
Unfortunately, you can't have both. You can stay under the radar, but you're probably just going to have the people in your,
That's
close
it.
proximity and your
That
friends, family, and that's fine. But
that
realize that you can't be like, why am I not growing? It's because you're not making yourself more visible. And I will also say, if you're scared of that, you know, you're not going to, it's not going to go from 0 to 100. You're going to be able to handle
totally.
the next little thing that comes up. You're going to be able to handle the
Totally.
next little troll or hater or,
Mhm.
whatever it is that you're scared of. You're going to be able to handle that. You're not going to get canceled tomorrow with, 600 people that are following you. It's going to be, it's going to be at that next level, and you will have reps by that point. By the time you have the
100%.
level of visibility and attention and success that we're talking about, you will have plenty of reps to handle the next thing. So I think
Totally.
it's kind of again, it's more of
Totally.
it's a fear of failure, probably more than it's a fear of success.
Good. I think
Um,
that if anyone's hearing this and they're like, but what if I go viral? This is why I fucking love social media. Turn off comments, control it. Like you are in full control of anything that happens. So that's the only time that you'd go 0 to 100. Actually, right now on TikTok, there's a woman who like went viral because there was a carpet buried in her backyard. Are you following this at all? There's a
no,
carpet, rolled up carpet buried in her backyard. I saw it on Threads, and the police had to come because they were like, "Oh, the dog smells something." It was a whole thing. Either way, she went from 6,000 to 1 million followers, right? That's a big jump that happens there. But you are honestly in full control of everything that happens with that. You can control the comments. You can control if you keep showing up, right? This is why I love social media and love the online side of things, because you're like in so much control. And then the second part that I will say to you folks, if this is kind of in your head about canceled, it's not a real thing, right? I will die on this hill. Being canceled is not real. If you just keep showing up, you don't get canceled. Like, yes, some people leave, but the people that fucking love you, they stay. Right? It doesn't even matter what the thing is. Like, it's not a real thing to get canceled. So I understand that there's concern and we want to fit in. But on one hand, we have full control of this social media experience. And then on the second hand, it doesn't exist in terms of getting canceled. You just keep showing up. So just want to throw that in there. My two
love
pennies on
it.
social media.
That's
Can we
great.
go to you, JB?
Sure.
What do you think is, in your opinion, the barrier that people are facing, tripping over, that's
hmm
stopping them from getting the success that they want?
Yeah, especially at, I will say, the level of legacy, the intermediate, what we call the intermediate plus level of business. We see there's a lot of people in who fit this category. Um, Shantae works with more beginners, as do I. I also work with more advanced folks who are making multiple six figures, seven figures. Um, and there's a lot of people in the middle of those two things. There's a lot of people who have been online for a couple of years. There's been a lot of people have tried a lot of stuff. There's a lot of people who have sort of built a following, but maybe it's not like a huge following, but it's a following nonetheless. They have strangers and things like that. So, this advice is one of the things that I see most of people in this category. And it kind of has two parts. Number one is that they're doing what I call grab bag strategy. Grab bag strategy is like, let me take a little piece of something I saw, or let me just try this thing, or I heard a podcast and someone was talking about this. Maybe I'm going to try that. And what ends up happening is that nothing is really systemized in their business. And I know Shantae doesn't love the word system, but what I mean by system is like a plan to follow. That's all a system is like you do this first, then you do this second, then you do this third. So instead of getting very systematic and strategic in their launches, they're actually just trying stuff. And then the storyline becomes, oh, this is risky. This is unpredictable. You never know how things are going to go. You never know. You might be out of business next. That's stressful as fuck. I don't want a business like that. I know Shantae doesn't.
No,
So,
kidding me?
what we do in Legacy is we create predictability by giving you clear strategy that is a proven strategy. So grab bag strategy is just you're trying different things. So what we do in Legacy and what I think is sort of the solution to this is putting together what we teach is the three parts of the launch. So every single launch has three parts. And most people are missing one or even all three of these. And so the first part of the launch is lead generation. Lead generation just means corralling a group of people, whether that's 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, whatever, of people who raise their hand and say, I'm interested in learning about that thing. So this could be on a wait list. This could be in a lead magnet of some kind. We need to corral attention based on some topic. Whether that, if you're listening to this and you're a nutrition person, maybe it's like they're interested in macros or interested in fat loss or interested in gaining muscle, whatever that is. We need people to actively opt in and raise their hand to get more information about this specific thing. This all happens before the launch even opens. And I will also say most successful launches, everything happens before card open. Like the success of your launch depends on what you do before card open. What I see a lot of people doing is going, oh, I have a new offer. I'm going to launch it tomorrow. And there's
Lord,
no anticipation, there's no runway.
I
And I
just got
understand why people do
anxiety.
that because we get excited and we get excited. I got this new idea. I'm going to launch it. Like, I'm going to just try, I'm going to put it out there. And then they wonder why it doesn't go well. And so I will say the most successful launches for our students happens like way before you even open cart. So lead gen is first. And by the way, this is a good question that comes up, not necessarily with legacy students, but sometimes with beginners, they may just not have enough people to launch the thing. So
This
it's like you corral attention, you get people to raise their hand, and only 5 people raise their hand. And you're like, well, I don't know if I want to launch if only 5 people want it. Cool. Let's message it differently. Let's go back to the drawing board. Maybe the offer isn't great. Like, what do we need to change that more people are interested? Right. And that's just a messaging issue. That's not like because you suck. People make it feel like that. They're like, no, only
they
5
do.
people wanted me. I'm like, no, only 5
No.
5 people wanted the way that you said that on the landing page. Right. So we get into the messaging side. That's the first part of the launch. The second phase of the launch is what we call the sales mechanism. Sales mechanism can be as simple as a sales call. That's a sales mechanism, right? We get on the phone and we have a conversation. You could be selling in your DMs. That's a sales mechanism. You can sell on your stories. Some people teach this where it's like, here's 5 stories to sell a tiny offer, and that's a sales mechanism. I do a 3-part launch. Sometimes you might do an application. Sometimes you might do a wait list. Sometimes you might do a workshop. Sometimes you might do a free challenge. All of these are sales mechanisms. So we need to identify what is the best type of sales mechanism for this offer. So, for example, if your offer is for a $27 course, I'm not going to have you do a 3-part training where they're going to spend 90 minutes with you over the course of 2 weeks. They don't need to spend 90 minutes with you 3 times to then pay $27. So we have to look at what exactly are we offering, and then what's the best way to sell that thing. And depending on what you're selling, we have to make the sales mechanism match the offer. So we do lead gen, then we take those leads, people raise their hand, we put them into the sales mechanism, whatever that is. And then the third part of the launch is cart open. And part of cart open is making sure that the offer is a compelling offer. It has to be something that people want. It has to be messaged in a way that people see the value of it. By the way, if someone says it's too expensive, your price is going to be part of your offer. But if someone says it's too expensive, that's not really necessarily sure. Maybe some people literally don't have the cash. That's fine. But for most people, they're just going to not see the value. So when they say, oh, it's too expensive, what they mean is, I don't see the value to go then find the money to make it happen. So then we look at messaging. And by the way, you guys, you're always going to be too expensive for somebody. We had a client in Legacy 2 years ago. I remember this vividly. It was like, she was, I don't know, it was maybe like it was like middle of her cart open. And she messaged me and she goes, oh my God, I got 2 emails from people saying it's too expensive and they can't believe I'm charging this. And I go, okay. I go, has anyone bought it yet? And she goes, oh yeah, we have like 15 people in it. I go, so it's not too expensive.
So there you go.
If someone has paid that price, it ain't too expensive. It's too expensive for that person, and that's fine. There's plenty of stuff that's too expensive for me. Plenty of stuff that's too expensive for Shantae. I looked up this. I don't know if I told you this. I looked up this like private airline company, and it wasn't like even like I'm flying private. It was one of these ones with like a membership. You pay like, I don't know, I think you pay like $3,500 for the year or something, and then you get access to these private jets.
Yeah.
And you might be one person of like a handful of people on these things. So I'm like, oh, maybe let me see. I'm doing pretty well. Let me see what this is all about. I'm like, so I'm picturing, okay, pay $3,500 for the year, and then I'm going to look at these prices on these private jets, and they're going to be a lot, but maybe they're probably like $5,000, maybe 10 grand. Oh no, $63,000 to fly to Austin, Texas, where my brother lives. I was like, yeah, that's not my kind of money. That's not my level of money.
Wow.
So y'all, I mean, you're always gonna be too expensive for someone. So that's just, that objection is really just a value issue. So of course that comes down to messaging, how you're packaging it, all of that stuff. So your offer is part of your cart open period. And there always needs to be, when you're launching something that, is a cohort, like a group or a course or something, there needs to be a deadline. So we talk through, okay, what happens once the cart is open? Remember, you've built tons of anticipation. You have these leads. You have these people who are interested. You gave them a great experience during the sales mechanism. Cool. What do we do during cart open? So all of that to say, most people don't do all 3 of those things if they even do one of them. And so this is probably the biggest thing, especially in the intermediate group, because again, you guys have had some wins. If you identify as intermediate, you've probably had some wins. You're like, all right, I built some followings and I've gotten some clients and I've tried some stuff and some of it worked and some of it didn't work. And you're kind of in this place of like, I need direction. This is always the people who come into Legacy are like, I have all this stuff. I got stuff. Here's my stuff. I know my niche. I'm consistent on social. I have a couple offers. I've tried to do a couple launches. Some people come in with memberships, like all this kind of stuff. They have stuff. But what we can do is we can organize the stuff and make it work better. And that's really the biggest, I would say, logistical thing and biggest mistake that keeps people in this holding pattern. So here's the deal, y'all. I don't want like neither, and Shantae doesn't either. We don't want another year to go by where you're trying shit. We don't want a year go by where you have like this grab bag strategy where you're like, just like, let me just piece this together and whatever. And it might feel, you might be confident in the strategy. So I'm not saying it's a bad strategy. I'm just saying you're not doing what you could be doing to make it successful, because I don't want you guys to just stay in a holding pattern. Like, it's like, okay, like we can do this stuff and we can like quote unquote have a business. But if you're like, you know what, I really want to scale this offer. I really want to help way more people. I really would like to, I mean, some people want to like retire their husbands. Like all of that's possible, but you can't do it from grab bag strategy. You need to look at numbers. You need to look at metrics. You need to look at messaging. You need to look at launch strategy. We have to look at these things if you do want to get to the next level, or if you're just like, I'm comfortable here and I post on social and it's great and I get a client every once in a while, awesome. Totally fine. No one ever has to scale. But if you're complaining that things aren't
That-
working, then you have to enroll. And this is the second part of the logistical problem, is people don't enroll help. They say that they want things to change, but then they don't enroll. They don't go and find the person, and they don't invest with the person who can actually help them. And that's fine. Like, it's your prerogative. You can spend your money how you want to, but you can't do the same. You can't assume. I don't know how people have success if they don't access a different strategy. I just don't.
yeah, totally.
And so whatever that looks like to you, but I think that if we want something to change, then we need to make a change. Like, I think you need a change to change. So yeah,
This.
that's it.
Can you just speak a little bit, and maybe it's just kind of like more direct in kind of the last part that you were saying of what gets, because I know that you have a ton of people going between different phases of things. You have intermediate going to advanced, you have beginner going to intermediate, you have intermediate to going to advanced.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that gets those folks to be ready, to be willing to take them to go, what pushes them over the edge to be like, yes, okay, I'm going to invest. I need help with this. What is the difference between people that are like, grab bag ain't working for me,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I need something more? What is that?
I'll tell you exactly what it is, because I just closed cart for my FBA, my beginner program last week. Well, it's two things. If you have investments that you've made that have not paid off, that's not benign. So, for example, if you've worked with a business coach, you've invested before in certain things, and you were either let down by those investments, or maybe like, I mean, I can't even tell you, we did like over 50 sales calls last week. Some of the conversations I had with people, I'm like blown away. This one person invested $12,000, and then the coach just stopped showing up. I was like, what do you mean he stopped
What?
showing up? Because you just didn't show up one day.
What?
I would be like on my deathbed being like, get the
I
Zoom
literally,
out. I need to get
that's
on
it.
Zoom real quick.
That's
Like,
literally it.
I'm like, what?
I'd have to be dead.
So this stuff happens. And so when you've had failed quote unquote investments, it's not benign. You go into it a little more gun shy. You're just like, ugh. Like, I really love Jill and Shantae, but oh.
Makes
So
sense.
that, in that experience, you know, I don't know if there's any guarantee that Shantae and I can give you, except to say, like, you might need to try one more time. I've had investments that didn't pay off. I've had bad business decisions, but I'm not going to let that keep me from making a better decision moving forward. Now I have more information. I know what I don't want. I know what
Yeah.
I'm looking for, you
Yeah.
know? So like now
Yeah.
I'm going to ask for referrals. I'm going to ask for references. I'm going to ask for case studies. I'm going to, you know, I
Totally.
have questions. I don't just buy it because the person is slick on the sales call.
Yep.
Absolutely not. So I think we have to take responsibility for some of those things and also go, okay, I want to make a better decision. How am I making that better decision? I'm not going to do what I did last time, and do that. I would say that's probably the first thing, is like, and the second thing is always making the decision from a place of fear and worst case scenario. So I'll give you an example. So we do a payment plan for this program, and the payment plan is $199 a month. So it's like under $200 a month. And what some people were doing was they were literally looking in their bank account and they were like, I don't have it. Or they were like, I'm going to be out this money. I'm spending $200 and I'm losing $200. The people who were hell yeses saw the possibility. Like, because to me, I'm like, okay, I know $200 is a lot for where you're at. I get that, right? It's a little bit different for everybody. I get that that's quote unquote a lot, but like, I'm like, you're making $2,000 this month with access to the strategy. So the people who see I'm investing to learn a strategy that's going to 10 times my investment, versus the people who just go, I'm losing
Yeah.
$200 because I
Yeah.
don't have that in my
That's
account. I'm spending $200. I'm just like, dude, you're going to fucking crush. I'm like, look at everything you're getting access to. Are you kidding me? $200 can mean nothing to you in a month, right? But they don't have that belief system. So I do think there's definitely a belief
sense.
system, and there's also definitely just some bad experiences that are not benign. People have a graveyard of shit that maybe hasn't worked, or maybe that were bad experiences, and they're going into the next one going, I just need to cool it.
Yeah.
Definitely had people say like, my husband doesn't want me to spend more money on this thing, and so there is this feeling of like, well, I'm going to just make the money first. And then
Mm-hmm.
once I make the money, I'm going to invest. And I'm like, how are you going to make the money without the strategy?
That's I love the action items you gave there of if you've been burned. I'm thinking about last actually round of legacy, and I had an extensive conversation with one of the people that's
We had a
thriving
few.
now with these
She's killing it.
specific concerns because of past investments. Right? It happens. It fucking we both get incredibly annoyed. I think Jill gets really, really upset about this. When people just these bad fucking coaches. But I love that the action items you threw out there, which we're both happy to field any of this. You want testimonials, you want to talk, you want whatever
Do your due
to
diligence. Believe me, if
address
you're
it.
a good
Hundred
coach,
percent.
a good coach will never be worried about you asking questions.
Yeah.
A good coach will never be annoyed if you ask for referrals. If
It's
you
the
ask
best
for
thing.
referrals
It's the
from
easiest.
someone and if you ask for referrals and the coach scoffs or makes you feel some kind of way, run from that coach. If you're a good coach, you should have a laundry list of testimonials, case studies, referrals that you can send people, results that you've gotten.
That's I will pair that and say because I want to have these discussions with you folks. If you had a bad experience, it's like let's fucking talk about that. And I want you to come in with like what made it bad. Was it that you didn't get the support? Because we want you to succeed. So whether you come to us or whatever, if you have a bad experience, identify what made it a bad experience. Was there a lack of strategy, and what did that mean? I'm thinking right now specifically of this person, and they were like, they just kept telling me to change this one word and make things up on the page, and I'm like, wait, but that doesn't make any sense. And she's like, I know. All right, so what was it that you feel like was a shortcoming? What was it that did they not pay attention? Was it not specific for you? Did they not get back to you in a timely fashion? Was it that you didn't feel supported? Why didn't you feel supported? And this is not to like be like it's your fault and victim blame. It's so that we can fix it. I hope that this gives you insight into working with Jill and I in terms of everything is a problem that we look to solve. And it's like, hey, we can't solve the problem if we don't identify what the components are that are not working. So we get super tactical and super objective about the things and say, okay, what can we do? How can we fix this? I
Yeah.
love it,
And
Jill.
that's also the beautiful thing about working with someone one on one. Like being able to work with Shantae and I one on one is like we can speak to the individual things about you and your business. We're not really just going to give you like a blanket. We talked about the three different parts of a launch. We have people in Legacy who do all different types of
Mm-hmm.
launches. They all do launches, but they do
Yep.
all different types because they have
Yes.
different audiences, they have different offers, they have different price points, right? So it's going to be
This.
customized to you. It's not going to just be
This.
like a curriculum and that was also something that previous legacy students have said that they've experienced in other containers was just like people just wanted them to like plow through a curriculum, and it's like not all of this either applies to me or it's just like a one-stop shop. And you guys who are listening to this, you would probably not give, if you had 20 nutrition clients, you would probably not give everyone the exact same meal plan. It's the exact same thing we're talking about. And so you have to make sure that if you're working with someone and you want customized strategy, that there's the ability to have that. And that's one of our favorite things about Legacy. We call it a hybrid model where we do have things that are group focused, and we have where you guys can learn from each other. We can share hot seats. We can do downloads, and we can obviously teach different, like just things that we want you guys to know. So there is a sort of educational backbone to it. But then on top of that, we go, okay, how does this part you just learned apply to your specific business? Let's talk about lead gen. Let's talk about sales mechanisms. Let's talk about launch. Let's talk about what is that going to look like? Everyone's going to be a little bit different.
This right here. Hopefully, you listening to this, you hear how Jill and I operate and how our brains work. We came in here to tell you about what we consider to be the top two things why people don't experience the success that they want, which actually ended up being six things, right? Three parts of building trust and the three parts of selling. But this is honestly how you teach, right? Do you have the ability to group things together? Do you have the ability to zoom out, paint a bigger picture, and then break it down into the individual components and then figure out which individual component needs to be addressed? This is what we do in Legacy. Yes, this whole thing is a pitch, if you will, for Legacy. We want you to be in it. If you think that we can help you, we want you to apply. We want to see, would it be a good fit? And this is how you're going to learn. This is how we teach. This is how we show up. Yes, we talk a lot. Could be a lot of things to say, a lot of things to cover, but we do listen twice as much. Jill, can you go over the logistics of things one more time, please?
Yeah, so we are going to be closing our applications this coming Friday, October 18th at midnight Pacific. And just so you guys know, if you didn't listen to episode earlier in the week, we do have a pretty extensive application, and that's sort of by design. We want to get to know your business as much as we possibly can so we can make a decision on if we can help you. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then Shantae comes over to my house. She prints out all of the applications, pages and pages of applications, just killing trees out here, brings them over, and we go through them with a fine-tooth comb, and we go through and we stalk you guys on social. We look at all of your stuff. So maybe some of you guys are like, oh, I need to get my posts up before I apply. Yes, do that. And we do also, in addition to having a pretty extensive application, because we want to learn more about you, we do also have a refundable $500 deposit. Again, we do want people who are serious, and we don't want people just like throwing their hat in the ring. We want people who are serious about this. And of course, it is refundable. So if it's a no for us or if it's a no for you, then you'll get that refunded. But all of that needs to be into us by end of day Friday. And Shantae is very cutthroat on this, and I support her on this. If you don't do the deposit, then we assume you can't follow directions.
Yes.
Her words.
It's as simple as that. 100% my words. I'll take full responsibility for this. We want this to be the best experience for everybody. You folks know this. You want to work with the same kind of people. So be that type of person that you want to work with. If you can't follow directions, then this is not the container for you. So get those things in together. We will then go and look at the applications, and we will get back to you and proceed accordingly.
Yeah, and we get started right away in November. So it does. That's always a question that comes up. When does it begin? It begins in November. 7-month container. There's group stuff. There's one-on-one with us. There's messenger. There's all kinds of things. So go to the link in the show notes to go over exactly what's included. That's a big question as well. And then we'll get started right in November. So there's really no downtime. So, and there is, of course, like I said before on Monday, it is a significant investment. That's also by design. There's payment plans, all that good stuff. So we want to work with you guys and make it as successful as we possibly can.
So good. That's it. That's all I got. Anything else, Jay Babe?
Nope.
So good. Like Jill said, if you got questions, comments, concerns, you're unsure, by all means, message either one of us, DM us. She's Jill Fit. I'm the Movement Maestro. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to answer those questions. We are not afraid of any of those questions. We have all the answers for you. And we look forward to hearing from you. And that's it. Good.
That's it.
Amazing. I get so excited about this stuff. We were like, let's make it 30 minutes. Just kidding. I love talking about it. It is what it is. As always, folks, endlessly appreciative for every single one of you. We know you could have been doing anything and you chose to listen to us. And for that, we are both endlessly grateful. Until next time, friends, Jill Fit and Maestro out.